hadn't experienced any loss yet, and get a little emotional. But yeah, it's. Hey guys, I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Dave.
And this is Engineered by God. Today we have a list of questions that we're going to answer so you guys can get to know a little bit more about who we are. Mm-hmm. So to start, we started dating in 2012 and we got married 4 years ago. So we've been together for 8 years and married for 4 of those years.
Right.
And we also have a son. One son. Just yeah. All right, so let's get into the questions.
All right, so the first question is, what accomplishment are you most proud of?
Good question. So the accomplishment I'm most proud of is the family that we've built together. So for me, I was born and my parents, they weren't married and they broke up shortly after, so they weren't together basically my entire life. And then they got remarried and had kids with their spouses. So I remember, specifically writing out the names of everyone on my dad's side and everyone on my mom's side, and then I'm just in the middle with this different last name than both sides, and they all have the same last name, and I'm just the oddball because I had my mom's maiden last name. And I just remember always wanting to have a child with my husband, to have a family and us all have the same last name and just be a unit. I just always wanted my own, little family. So I have that now, and it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I think for me it's somewhat similar. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is our relationship dynamic. Mm-hmm. I remember back in college, so we're sitting at one of the tables in the library, and there's somebody across from us who, I guess he just broke up with his girlfriend. And he's looking at us, he's like, enjoy it while you can because it's not going to last forever, basically, which is kind of a rude thing to say. But I remember in my mind, I'm like, no, you're wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. But even then, I couldn't imagine, how great this would have turned out. Yeah. I feel like our dynamic, the way we kind of anticipate each other, the way we kind of just really know each other so well, is something that I'm very proud of and I feel like is, the highlight of my life.
Yeah, I agree. And I also love proving people wrong, so. Okay, so next question. What are you most passionate about?
I would say that's a tough question because it's like I've just kind of gotten such in this routine of wake up, go to work, work out, come home, this the Monday through Friday thing that sometimes you lose sight of the things that you're passionate about. Yeah. I think obviously the number one thing is my relationship with Christ. That's the number one thing. But even that, I feel like I don't have the passion that I would like to have.
Right.
That's the number one thing. Mm-hmm. And outside of that, I mean, just the general stuff like family, us, new experiences. So yeah, I think between my relationship with Christ and having a family and growing together is the things.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with everything you said. I guess I might add food to the list. Try new foods.
DoorDash.
DoorDash. But yeah, I agree with what you said.
Right. All right, so it's my turn now. Yes, what obstacles are you currently trying to overcome?
Yeah, so I am trying to overcome my anxiety. I started going to therapy, and that helped me, one, realize that I had an anxiety disorder, and through more sessions, realizing that it's more severe than I thought it was. So actually wanting to work on coping mechanisms and getting over that instead of just running away and avoiding whatever is making me anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. I think for me, so they always say the first step to getting over an addiction or a problem is admitting you have it. I think for me, the obstacle is I'm addicted to my phone. I think I have this need to always be entertained in some form. And I think it's really hurting my spiritual life because when it's time to be still and time to pray and time to read, like I almost get into this space where I feel like this is boring and I should be doing something that's more fun. So something I'm trying to really break out of is this constant need for some type of entertainment, some type of media, and just being able to be still and just be present in whatever moment that I want to be in.
You heard it here first, guys. It's recorded. Proof. So, how do you feel about getting older?
Honestly, I embrace it. I look forward to getting older. I feel like as I have gotten older, I've learned so much. And every time you're at a certain stage in life, you can't imagine the new things you're going to learn. So I think for me, just imagining like how much more 30, 35, 4-year-old Dave is going to know and experience, I think it's something that I am looking forward to. I think the only thing that does scare me a little bit is oftentimes you look back in regret of the things you didn't do. But still, I look forward to seeing what, God has for us in the future.
I look forward to all those things. I have those happy thoughts, but I also have more of a kind of a negative side in terms of I just don't want to get older and get to like 40 and feel like, wow, I wish that I had spent more time doing this. I wish I really knew what it is that I was called to do, that I was meant to do.
That's true.
I just don't want to basically look back and have regrets. So yeah, that's my
right. It's crazy because like I feel like a lot of us when we got out of college and started working, we had a quarter life crisis. So we don't want to have a midlife crisis too. So I do feel you on that one. But so the next question that kind of goes on top of that is, when you are older, how do you want to change as a person?
Yeah. So I have like a list of like what it looks like to be like a godly woman, But for me, I guess I just have this idea of who I want to be, and I just want to be someone who is, number one, strong in their faith, constantly relying on God, praying with Him, and have that communication with Him and be able to listen to Him and actually hear His voice clearly. That's like a number one goal. And then I just want to be confident in myself, confident in who I am, because I struggle in that area. If I admit it, yeah. So I struggle in that area. And then just wanting, like I said before, having that sense of purpose, like knowing what I'm called to do in this world. And then just being a good person to the people who I love, to the people I care about, and also, because I'm Christian, to the people that I don't, or who are my enemies. I don't want to say don't care about, but who are my enemies, to the strangers. So I want, that's what I want. And I want the person that I am in the dark behind the scenes to be the same as the person who I, present myself to be to the world.
I feel like you covered all of the bases there. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I hope that as I become older, I become more gracious, kinder, more forgiving. Like all the good qualities that you strive for, I hope that I have more of those things. And I hope that I'm, more vulnerable, more willing to put myself out there as I get older. I just want to be a great example of what a God-fearing man is for my son and any other future kids if God blesses us with more kids. So I just want to be that example so that when my son is our age, he can just think of what is a good man, and he can just imagine me. You know what I mean? To have that example.
Yeah, and Jesus too, but.
Right.
Okay, so how do you get in the way of your own success?
So I think there's two sides to this. I think the first side is like when I realize that I've been like screwing up, like just beating myself down and being hard on myself. And the second area is sometimes not being driven enough, like just being complacent and just okay with just going through the motions. So I think that if I can, obviously give myself some more grace, but at the same time have more drive and more focus onto whatever goals that are in my mind, I could just be more successful at whatever I'm, tackling.
Yeah, I agree with that, and being afraid to fail specifically is a big thing for me. Feeling like having that negative self-talk and feeling like you're not good enough, or nobody cares, or just things like that. Having that fear and those negative thoughts is what holds me back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sticking with the fear, then, what are you afraid that people see when they look at you?
Kind of goes back to something I mentioned before, but I'm afraid that people have this idea of me, and I don't truly live up to that idea.
Wow.
I think that an idea that has been put on me is this idea that I'm like, a good leader or have specific leadership skills. And I think that, that's one area where I feel like, do I really? I'm not sure if I really possess those skills, because like my anxiety can get in the way of that a lot of times, and I'm just kind of beating myself down. So I guess for me, it's kind of like when people feel like, oh, this is Jasmine, she's this thing, she's this, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm really like that, I don't know if I can live up to those expectations. Wow. You know what I mean? And I feel like I have a lot of expectations or a lot of pressure put on me to be this kind of specific, like, quote unquote, kind of perfect child or person or whatever from loved ones, and I just it's a lot of pressure.
It's crazy because we have the same answer. It's not that, because when I first read this question, the first thing is like that I think of is like what weaknesses or vulnerabilities do I not want people to see in me? But what I actually envision is like what strengths and like qualities of virtue do people see in me that I don't always feel within myself.
Yeah.
Like people might see me as an example of, you look at Dave, he's doing the right thing and stuff like that. But I know that there are areas in my life that I need to improve on. So I don't want to be a fraud. You know what I mean? I don't like that feeling of like I'm acting. Like I want to be authentic. So we have the same answer, honestly.
Yeah.
So what are some things you've had to unlearn? Want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
I think for me, a big thing that I've had to unlearn over the years, I mean, not recently, but still, is toxic masculinity. And I think for me, the way that toxic masculinity manifested wasn't in the bravado, I can't show emotions, like I wasn't like that type of guy, but I think the unconscious thought that basically a woman's purpose was to kind of benefit a man in some way, like unconsciously, like you don't think it, but like in a simple thing like where you say, oh, why don't you smile or something like that, like her existence isn't to make you feel good, or you know what I mean, and just learning it on a deeper level, you know what I mean. So I think that's something you're constantly learning, constantly seeing that there's some ways that you were conditioned that were just trash, you know what I mean, and trying to grow out of that.
I don't think I was necessary. It's not like I was taught this, but kind of going along with it, my journey for, towards self-reflection, greater self-reflection, would be the importance of positive speaking towards yourself, of affirmations, and just encouraging yourself. I think that when I was younger and I first heard about people having affirmations, to me it's like, what's the point of that? It's pointless. I don't understand. But now, I understand how powerful that can be, and then realizing how much how bad I speak to myself, and the type of negative talk that I just use on a daily basis really kind of solidify the idea that, okay, no, you have to reteach yourself how to speak to yourself, how to love yourself, and encourage yourself instead of putting yourself down all the time.
Yeah. All right, what's something you love about yourself?
I think this is hard for me. These type of questions are hard for me. But I love that I am empathetic towards others. What?
That's my answer.
Oh. And just compassionate, and that I learn to embrace people's differences. Even as a kid, my grandma pointed that out to me. My mom pointed that out to me. So just from a young age, always wanting to be empathetic and understanding of other people's situations and what they're going through and their point of view. Yeah.
I'm not going to add anything. I was literally thinking the same thing. I was like, I was going to say empathy, and everything you said, it was what I was going to say.
Yeah. I think it's something we just realized, and like literally just yesterday, I realized that I value that in other people, and when they don't have it, that it's really annoying to me. Extremely annoying to me.
Yeah.
So that was like a self-revelation. I like those. But yeah. Okay, last question. What do you miss most about being a kid?
Usually the first thing you would think is like no bills and freedom and stuff. Well, freedom is in a kid sense.
Yeah.
But to me, I think the thing that I miss most is that as a kid, oftentimes you don't see the limitations in the world. Like you view the future as like anything, like you could do anything. Like our son does this thing where he gets in positions where he's gonna fall and he doesn't fall, and he thinks he's doing it on his own, but I'm holding him up. You know what I mean? But as an adult, you're always thinking, I could fall here. I'm not taking that chance.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because we kind of limit God, because God would probably hold us up in many situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I think oftentimes when I want to tackle something new, the first thing I look at is where it could fail. Like the limitations on my skill level or whatever it is. And I wish that I could have that kid mentality again where, they ask you what you want to be when you grow up. You thought you could do anything. Like the question was limitless, you know what I mean? Sometimes. But I wish I could have that again.
That's a good one. I like that. For me, What I miss most is just the love and the closeness of my family, all my cousins, my aunts, my grandparents. They were all around, and I hadn't experienced any loss yet. And get a little emotional, but yeah, it's. Anyway, let's pause. Ooh.
So we're back. Yeah, I mean, those are all the questions that we have for right now. But we'd like to know, what do you miss most about your childhood? Maybe you can leave that in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe for future videos.
Yep. And that's it. See ya.